So with that being said, I'm really excited to introduce our first speaker, Donna Bishop. Her 3 fun facts. So she loves 18-wheeler rigs, and she's always watching for new models on the highway. Her kids were both born at home with midwives, and she will happily eat the same thing for breakfast every single day, and that breakfast is steel-cut oatmeal and frozen blueberries. And coffee, of course. Come on up here, Donna, and share your fuck up.
Hi, thanks, Marcia. I forgot the cappuccino with the steel-cut oats and blueberries, very important. Super excited to be here to share my glorious fuck-up story. And when trying to decide where to begin, I thought, okay, well, let's talk about some of the things I did before my glorious fuck-up. I had a lot of jobs. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I wrote freelance, I was in communications, I worked as a theater producer, I worked in indie film. My good friend Karen told me I had professional deficit disorder. It's probably true. And what I was struggling with is I was like, I love the freedom of working for myself, but I don't like the reports. I don't like making strategic plans. I don't like having to do all this admin stuff. What can I do that will take all of that administration baggage off my plate? And I thought, you know what? I love doing makeup. I'm going to be a makeup artist. And I was a really good makeup artist. I went back to school. I did brides. I was having the best time. The only paperwork you send as a makeup artist is an invoice. It's the best part. I was having a great time until our little guy got cancer. And he's fine. He'll be 15 in September. But like so many families, a health crisis makes you look at the world a little bit differently. And this was around the time that in my beloved beauty industry, we were starting to hear about parabens and SLS. How many people now know about how ingredients need to be kind of re-examined in our beauty stuff, right? Back in 2006, nobody was talking about this. It was like David Suzuki, and that was it. And I thought, you know what? My little guy, we clean our house with vinegar and baking soda. We try to eat wholesome foods, and he still gets cancer. That's fucked up. I'm going to become a green makeup artist. I am going to only use products that have non-toxic ingredients in them, but that they still actually work. So I can still do my photo shoots and my brides and stuff like that. And that was a great idea. People loved it. They loved it so much, I thought, I'm going to start a website. I'm going to start a website called Green Beauty, where I can retail all of these products that I've been using and that people love. It was a great idea. People called me a trailblazer and a pioneer. I was the first company to have this focus, certainly in Toronto. I'm told in Canada, but I don't know. I'll give myself one in the first 3. It was a stupendous idea, and I happily ran it out of our basement for a couple of years. And then a great thing happened. I thought it was a great thing, is this wonderful woman came and said, you know what, Donna? I want to go into business with you. I think you have the brand that I want to partner with. I want to go bricks and mortar. I think there should be a day spa. I think we should, make this something that is more tangible. And I said, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. And Green Beauty Salon and Spa was born. And we professionally dated for quite a while. This was not a case of, jumping into business bed with someone without, getting to know them. We had a lot of chats. We got to know each other, and we started a bricks and mortar business together. And this was up in Lawrence Park in Toronto. And it was going along swimmingly, I thought. She was doing all of the admin stuff. Yes. I got to be the face of the company, work on the marketing, work with staff. So again, all that stuff that I didn't like and I wasn't good at off my plate. Until she said, Donna, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not really meeting my expectations. And I'm happy to say this is not like I'm going to throw my business partner under the bus. She's a total bitch. We had a horrible falling out. No, it was amicable. She was awesome. There's no bad blood between us. Businesses, they break up sometimes. It happens, right? If I could go back in time, this is the moment where I would have said, wow, I guess it's not meant to be. Going to try something else. But I didn't. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep this going. I am going to continue with Green Beauty. I scrambled. In like a month, we had to close one incorporation so I could open another one, transfer staff, transfer assets, do all of this stuff, get bank accounts up and going again. And I looked at where the majority of the revenue was coming in from Green Beauty, and I thought, you know what? It's actually hair. It's not the retail. It's not the day spa stuff. So I'm going to pivot. Everyone knows what we do when we pivot, right? I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to focus primarily on hair because that's where the money's coming in. And I'm going to take over another business that I see is for sale, and that way I get some staff off the top, and this will be awesome. And it was so not awesome. First of all, what I ended up doing is now I started a business where it is a service-based business where I did not provide the services. It's like, imagine if you were, you thought, I'm going to open a car repair shop, and you didn't know how to fix cars. I couldn't do hair. If someone was sick, if someone quit by email, oh my God, the number of people who quit by email. If someone just decided to not show up, I couldn't fill the chair. So it was constantly having to make allowances for clients and focusing on branding and how do we get people in and dealing with precious people that had really important things they wanted to talk about, which I just did not have the time or energy to do. And I started to become miserable. We were putting more and more money into the business. I was becoming more and more stressed. People are stealing. Lots of great things happened too. There was some great staff that stood by me the whole time. And as an entrepreneur, people were like, Donna, how's Green Beauty going? And I'm like, it's great. It's great. I love it. It's awesome. Still getting lots of great media. We had Entertainment Tonight shoot there. I got, quoted in InStyle magazine. Tons of great stuff was happening. And the business was, you can't see Julianne Moore very well, but she is bawling her eyes out. And that's exactly how I was feeling. I was feeling desperate. I was feeling ashamed. I was miserable because I was not able, I was drowning, did not know what to do. And finally, in October of 2014, I had a full-on nervous breakdown on our living room couch. And I said, I can't do this anymore. This is not worth it. And I made the very, very difficult decision to close the business. And if any of you have closed a business, you know it's fucking hard. It is emotionally hard. It is a gash to your ego like you have possibly never experienced before. And it was a financial disaster. So for about 6 months after I closed Green Beauty, I still looked like this for a really long time. But just because it was a fuck up does not mean it was a waste of time. It was far from a waste of time. And a couple of the key things that I want to share with you guys today are this. Being an entrepreneur is just like driving a car. If you're driving your car and you're only looking at the dashboard, watching your oil and your gas and making sure that all that's working, and you're not ever looking at the horizon, you are going to drive off the road and hit a ditch or drive into a tree and wreck your car. If you are only looking at the horizon, looking at where you're going and getting so excited about where you're going and how far it is and keeping your eye out there, then you're not watching the dashboard and you're going to burn your engine out of oil, you're going to run out of gas, and you're going to end up stopped in the middle of the road, if you're lucky, not getting smushed by another car that's coming along. And that's exactly what happened to me. I drove the gas out of the car. But just because I fucked up doesn't mean I'm a fuck up. And that was one of the most important things that came out of this experience for me, because a fuck up is just what we were talking about, what Marcia was mentioning. It's instruction, it's learning, it's growth. You're never the same after any kind of hard experience. And I certainly am not the same after fucking up, but it has given me resilience. It has reinforced things that I know I'm good at. It has given me a lens of how to evaluate things. And it has shown me that on top of everything of the things that I am not good at, maintaining good accounting and good bookkeeping and paying your taxes on time are absolutely paramount to making the fuck up a little less of a nightmare. Thanks.
Donna, thank you so much for sharing that story. How amazing was that car analogy? That, like, for me, that just clicked, and I was like, wow, this makes so much sense.
It's true. You got to watch the dashboard and you got to watch the horizon.
Absolutely. So now we're going to open it up to some Q&A for Donna. So we have a couple mic runners who are going to go around and bring the mic to you. Just keep in mind, when you're asking the question, make sure that the question itself is brief so we can get through as many as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Donna.
Hi.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Just curious, so right after you closed your business, what was your next step? Did you open another business, or did you switch to a full-time job, or what happened?
After therapy and crying and a lot of wine. You know what? I had the benefit of a very supportive family, and I had the opportunity. The first 6 months, or the first 4 months, I was a mess. Because being Green Beauty was all I was, and now all of a sudden I wasn't that anymore. And people were like, "What are you going to do next?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So after a lot of soul searching, I thought, you know what? I don't want to start another company. That is just not my jam. And that was also a hard decision because I thought, I've run a company. Aren't I supposed to run another company? And now I do freelance. I really like the spinning of plates, the like owning your time. Those were things I wanted to keep. And I thought, you know what, I can take my entrepreneurial lessons and bring them into my life or into an organization if I'm there as like a consultant or a freelancer in a way that allows me to use that experience and knowledge without having to carry the health of the business on my shoulders, which is why now I do freelance moderating, I host CBC Radio's fashion column, I've got a podcast, yada, yada, yada.
Hi.
Hi.
You mentioned, your bookkeeping and stuff like that. I'd love to hear. Were you neglecting it or doing it wrong? I'm just curious to hear more.
I know. The sponsor wants to know, right? You know what? It was a couple of things. There was certainly some put my head in the sand because I was so busy doing other stuff that I just thought, I will do that later. I will do that later. I will do that later. It was a lot of, I didn't know what I didn't know. And it also got to the point where I knew I needed that support, but I felt so cash strapped that I didn't know how to find the resources to pay for it at the time. And if I could go back in time, that is one thing I would have said, I don't care if you are eating like peanut butter sandwiches, find a way to keep that part of the business funded and healthy so you don't end up digging yourself out of a hole.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for sharing. There's
welcome.
two things you said that really intrigued me. One is, having the ability to dig yourself out of a hole, especially a financial hole. Mm-hmm. So if you can share a little bit more, what kind of ideas or tips or how you were able to do that and how long it took you. And the second one is when you went into the freelance world, right? Mm-hmm. And you realized your assets, how were you able to practically price yourself? Because that's a separate niche of.
And I'll address that first. Those are two really good questions. As a freelancer, how do you price yourself is like the $1 million question every freelancer wants to know, right? What does the market give? But is it a good enough opportunity that I want to make sure I can do it no matter what? Is it, if I ask too much, well, I won't get the job. If I ask too little, will I be like, I should have asked for more? So I really take it job by job. And I have also decided that I think particularly as women, we undervalue ourselves. So I've decided it's also better to know the rate that I know I'm worth and not get it, rather than try and like just kind of scrape along. Because if it's not meant to be, I don't want it to be because I devalued myself that I didn't get that particular gig. So it's meant turning down some stuff, and it's also meant that I'm happy to do other things for free because I've evaluated it differently. In terms of how to dig yourself out of a financial hole, there are many, many, many ways that happens for people, and I'm going to share that I was incredibly, incredibly blessed with that man over there who supported me through thick and thin through this, and we were able to, through savings and, you know, work that he was doing and that I was able to support, it took us a few years, but we were able to pay off the green beauty debts. And I appreciate that's not everyone's situation, but I was certainly blessed that it was mine.
Hey, Donna. That was awesome. My question is, was there a straw that broke the camel's back when you were closing your business? I can only imagine like actually deciding the day that you're going to call a Canada Revenue Agency and let them know like this is over. So what was like the lead up to it, and was there one specific event or was it a series of events?
I think it was, excellent question by the way, because there are some moments from leading up to that I remember so clearly. It had certainly been stressful for a while. The woman I bought the business from, who was still working for me, I found out was telling her clients that she was leaving and where they could find her after the fact. So she was taking money out of my pocket. I know, right? People are so nasty. I was trying to stay on top of retail. We were really, really strapped cash-wise because buying inventory and supplies coming out of cash flow. There was numerous staffing issues just with like, I wasn't a hairstylist. I couldn't answer some of their questions. I didn't know how to figure out how much color you needed to buy because I wasn't part of that industry. Like I literally ended up with a business I had no experience in, a service-based business. It's not like I decided to create a product for a need I saw. It was a service-based business, and eventually I just felt like so underwater I couldn't cope. And it was giving me stress. I was having panic attacks. I knew when I was more than happy to walk 3 hours to get anywhere that it was probably time to make some changes.
Hi. I just wanted to. I'm over here.
Where are you? Oh, there you are. Hi.
Great talk. I just wanted to ask, when you were transitioning, like a lot of entrepreneurs that are serial entrepreneurs will like do what you did, like close down shop and then start again and reinvent themselves and do that. Can you talk about the reinvention phase? Because what did you do to emotionally let go? This has been my thing, and then stepping into the new of, okay, I'm going to start all over again from scratch, and being okay with that, both emotionally and just everything. Like, can you talk about that transition?
For sure. And I love self-reinvention. Like, I've reinvented myself. All those jobs, reinvention. And I think as entrepreneurs or as anyone who's happy to reinvent yourself, like, I'm really proud of that. That takes a lot of strength, right? Like to say, you know what, today I'm going to stop doing that and I'm going to be a makeup artist. Yes. So the resilience and the strength that comes with being okay with reinvention is, I think, part of what helped me get through that really deep pit of having to make that transition. Because this was the first time I was going from being the face of something that I thought was going to be really successful. Like, I had everyone telling me, like, you're ahead of the curve. I still have people come up to me and thank me for starting Green Beauty and how it's launched their careers. And there's brands I launched that are now in like Colts and the Bay and all of this stuff. So it took a lot of, it's gonna sound really simple, and I don't mean it to be hyperbole, but it was a lot of like self-work. I did some therapy. I, took a look at why I was feeling so ashamed about this. I decided to not let it make me feel shitty anymore. And it was a really conscious decision to say, you know what? I am not this situation. And once I made that conscious decision for it to just be something that happened and not who I was, it became a lot easier to move through those steps of transition. And I think part of it was also that I know one of my strengths is I'm a connector. I'm really good at, meeting people and being connected and seeing opportunities. So it wasn't hard for me to say, you know what? That's done. Fashion and beauty are two sides of the same coin. I've worked in fashion a little bit. I think I'm going to work in fashion now. I know this woman who started the Canadian Art and Fashion Awards. We've sat on a fashion board together. I think we'll work together. And part of it is just that kind of ability to seize opportunity and see what's in front of you and be brave enough to take that next step, just like it was brave whenever that first step was that led to your fuck up. If that makes sense.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect place to end the Q&A here. Really good way to wrap things up. So just something to keep in mind, if we didn't get to your question, the speakers will be sticking around after the talk, so you can come up and ask in person as well. So let's give another round of applause for Donna.
Thanks, everyone.